What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Interviewing the Affluent. My name is Kwame Barbour, and I am the founder and CEO of Affluent Clothing. We are a mission-based streetwear brand that promotes the idea that wealth is a matter of inspiration. While there are many different ways to describe affluence, one may believe that it all ties back to wealth and how we express our wealthiness. Affluent Clothing, however, would like to redefine affluence and showcase affluence as a mindset rather than a lifestyle. Through these interviews, we hope to expand the world's perspective on what the word wealth means. With that being said, I'm honored to be joined today by Sebi Michel, current senior, accountant and finance double major. Sebi, how are we doing today?
Greetings and salutations. Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Of course. Seb, for the people who don't know who you are, please tell us a little bit about yourself and your experience at the university so far.
Wow, where to start? I feel like the one word I would use to describe myself is quiet. I'm a person who's, in general, introverted. However, over the course of these 40 years, I felt like by interacting with people, I realized one day that, I really have to expand my network and take the opportunity to grow. And the perfect way to start is by, saying hi and interacting with a lot of people. So I feel like over the course of these 4 years, I've definitely grown, whether it be confidence, leadership, and overall just, taking chances. So that's how my experience been here. I've definitely taken the opportunity to explore career paths, whether it be related to accounting or finance or even just trying to set goals and even just dream about the future. I feel like over these 40 years, that definitely have been impactful for me.
Got you. And what have you been involved in?
Okay, wow. I'd say my primary involvement would be the Black Student Union.
Okay.
Here on campus. During my sophomore and junior year, I served as the club treasurer, and during my senior year up until February, I served as the president. Besides that, I also served as an RA in Jokes last year, my junior year, and currently I serve as an RA in Campion Hall my senior year. So overall, I've been heavily, involved in, the first-year population, which has definitely been enriching for me.
Got you. If there's one value that you live by, what might that be?
I would say treat others the way you want to be treated. Everyone deserves to be treated with respect. Everyone deserves to be treated in a manner that puts a smile on their face. I feel like overall, oftentimes in this world, I feel like often we're self-interested human beings. Sometimes it's always about me, and sometimes we can disregard how our actions and have consequences and how it affects others. So for me, I feel like if I want to be treated with respect, if I want to be happy, I gotta treat other people as so. It's one of those things when you're in kindergarten or preschool, they tell you, things like, keep your hands to yourself or treat others the way you want to be treated. And I feel like if we go back to those fundamentals, I feel like the world will be a better place. But, sometimes when we grow old, experience can kind of dull our senses in a sense. So I feel like that's the one value or rule I live by.
Most definitely. I think that makes sense. Like you said, we do talk about that at a pretty young age. But as we grow older, we do understand that even following that principle, it doesn't always get us where we want to be. I know we talked about that in Care Team a little bit, just not being received the way you want to. Even if I do treat someone with respect, if they're not respectful back, how do we deal with that?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like throughout these 4 years, I know that you've dealt with a lot of different things where that hasn't always stood true, especially being a resident assistant. A lot of times students get wild and rowdy, very disrespectful at times, don't remember the next day. But how do you deal with that when you feel like the energy that you're putting out there is not giving back?
Well, the one thing I feel like I learned is that, you can't let other people's dim your light. For real. You don't want other people's actions to kind of dictate how you respond in the future. It's very, very hard. It's a very fine line of being walked on and treating people with respect and still having that love in your heart. I feel like as an RA, I knew since day one I signed up for that job.
Gotcha.
And that job was no matter what, I still have to ensure that it's a welcoming environment that I'm creating, and also people are safe in there. So when it comes to issues that when people's dignity is being disregarded or their safety is being put in question, no matter what, you have to stand up and make sure that's taken care of. And at the end of the day, I get that sometimes people might genuinely wake up the next morning upon taking a bad action and feel regret, or they're just like, I don't know what got over me, and they apologize. So, I mean, it's a bit tough, but sometimes I feel like being an RA is very humbling, bro. Very, very humbling. You learn self-control. You learn a lot of stuff. So for me, I just got to keep it moving sometimes. And also, I feel like the one thing that has helped me overall is talking to other RAs, or even just like debriefing informally, because I feel like if you don't take those opportunities to debrief with people who care about you, you know, it takes a toll. It builds up. So you really want to make sure you kind of like, you know, like unload that every once in a while.
Gotcha. Yeah, most definitely. A lot of times we don't take that time to debrief. Long night, you know, we're on duty from 8 to 2. Nobody really want to deal with it after
Absolutely.
the fact. But it definitely does build up, does take a mental toll on you. Sometimes that energy just gets put out to other people unfairly. So definitely taking the time to reflect on what went down, how to make it better the next time, and really be in tune with your feelings about those situations. For those of you who don't know, I have been a resident assistant for 3 years. I started the first semester of my sophomore year, and I currently I'm a resident assistant in the townhouse area, so overseeing the juniors and seniors.
Humbling.
We are the party area on campus, but I feel like we have a pretty good control of the area. But one thing that I like that you talked about not letting other people dim your light, and I feel like that goes along with social comparison as well. So speaking a little on that, how would you say you measure success?
I feel like success can mean a lot of things for people. You know, it could be monetary, or it even can be status. But I feel like for me personally, I measure success by the relationships you build and you can maintain. I feel like oftentimes there's only so much status and money can, you know, or even good grades can, you know, do for you. I feel like enriching relationships and true relationships, you know, you pour into each other, you put people onto opportunities without the expectation of anything in return. And even when you're at your, you know, your lowest moments, those people are there for you. So I feel like if you have genuine people on your side who pour into you and you pour into them, like, what more do you need in this world? I feel like opportunities will come if you have good relationships. Even despite hardship, you know, happiness and joy will happen at the end. So I feel like relationships for me is, you know, how I measure success. And at my experience here at Fairfield, I've done my absolute best to maintain and hold on to like those good and genuine relationships where people, you know, they push you. They know what you're capable of, and they demand more for you. Not in a sense of like pressure, but they know that you can do better.
Most definitely. I think you can have all the money in the world and still be miserable at the end of the day. I like that you did talk about those relationships. It's important to know that we do have different kinds of relationships, though. Especially on this campus, you know, you can't call everybody a friend. You can't confide in everyone. So really just understanding those relationships as well, you know, build as many relationships as possible, but really examine those relationships and see what that dynamic really is.
Absolutely.
You know, some people you do say hi and bye to in the hallway. Some people you sit and do schoolwork with. Some people you really do sit and discuss certain things with. Moving forward, though, what would you do with your life today if you knew you couldn't fail?
I guess for me, the dream is, I've always been passionate about sports in general, specifically soccer. So as of right now, I would love to be an owner of a soccer team. I don't know whether it would be something that would be small time or big, but I feel like the idea of building something from the ground up and kind of like really investing in those people and getting the most out of them is something that I dream about doing. So I feel like if I could be like a soccer owner of a team, you know, controlling the finances, controlling like, you know, the youth squad, recruiting, stuff like that, I feel like that's something that I would really want to do. I feel like that's not really out of reach, especially nowadays with social media. I've seen plenty of people who even like, for example, like, you know, they started playing FIFA or something and now like they're, you know, talking to like professional players, shooting around, kicking the ball around with them. So that for me, that showed me that anything is possible. But I do think maybe if I did have to choose between being an owner of like a small or big time, I would choose small time because I feel like there you could be more hands-on and you can actually build something. I feel like it's really rewarding starting from the ground up and like building something, because I feel like not only are you like, it's almost like a family, but it's like, that growth, like seeing that growth is very rewarding. So that's the dream for now.
You talk about wanting to manage a small team and start a big team,
Yeah.
just because you're able to like build and grow within that environment. And
Yeah.
I feel the same way about the workplace. I always said I wanted to work for a small company rather than a big company. I don't want to just be another name, another desk in the office.
Yeah.
But talking about that, have you had any experience with that so far? Just being able to build something up from the ground.
I think that's an interesting question. I feel like the first time I did something like that is myself. I like essentially each day I feel like I'm building myself from the ground up. I mean, I feel like each year has brought its new trials, but it's forced me to grow and really, take moments of introspection and try to figure out how can I manage myself before I can even like,
Right.
go out and try to do other things. Even related, for example, to BSU, even though I was the treasurer, I feel like it definitely wasn't me by myself, but I felt like through COVID and up to the present, I've helped the Black Student Union here at Fairfield, not only like, survive, but, maintain certain relationships and campus partnerships. Even entering Fairfield, I never dreamed that I would be in the position where I was at now, meeting new people, providing new opportunities, and, getting the most out of people like around you. I feel like I've definitely built from the ground up, not only me, but even like relationships with those around me.
Most definitely, you talk about introspection, and that's definitely one of the reasons why I asked the question, because we think about our bigger goals, and it's like we have to do this, that, and the third to get there, but we don't see that we're really doing the smaller things in our everyday life. Talking a little about BSU, you talk about maintaining relationships, but you've also created relationships as well. So just tell us a little bit about that process, gaining access to those relationships and then passing them on to BSU as well.
This may sound crazy, but I feel like the most building I was able to do was after moments of conflicts or issues when things are like arose. Definitely me building stuff up from the ground up. It was definitely not a work by myself. I consider what I did is just like, each person before me contributed to everything that's happened here. But there was moments of conflict on campus where there was disagreement and like a sense of dissatisfaction amongst, marginalized group on campus, especially Black students here at Fairfield. So me, along with you, actually had the opportunity to build a connection with the president of the university, and not only that, I believe the vice president of student life, which was something very enriching and rewarding, because I got the sense that they sense that this dissatisfaction and the unhappiness on campus is not good. How can we fix that? So seeing people who are their hearts in the right place perhaps, but they just don't know where to start, I feel like that was the perfect point to reach out and build those relationships. And not only that, I feel like giving them the opportunity to show up to events and just like updating them not only about like your personal life, but like club activities has definitely helped with that. In addition, I feel like even just daring to talk to like departments and like campus initiative people in charge of those on campus, it all starts with a conversation, and then before you know it, there's certain opportunities they're asking, oh, do you want to participate in a retreat, for example, or like do you want to partner up with like whether it be athletics. And I think the best part that's helped me build those relationships is looking at those around me and seeing like, oh, okay, like which networks do they have already established, and let's tap into that and make it happen. I feel like I'm the type of person, like I never will ever call like an idea stupid or like impossible. I'm more so the person like, hey, you bought an idea, like how can we make it happen? Like what steps can we take? So that's how I built what I built.
So I'll just take this time to give you your flowers. For the people who don't know, I was a part of the Black Student Union. I've served as the community service coordinator, the vice president, as well as the co-president. Sam and I are the only two students to present to the full board of trustees in the Black Student Union as well. So I do just want to take this time to give you your flowers and say thank you for all that you've done over the last 4 years for the Black
Likewise to
Student
you.
Union. I definitely do appreciate it. I do hope that they continue these relationships and they continue to grow each year. Getting back to our questions though, knowing that failure is a possibility, how do you stay inspired and motivated every day?
Hmm. I feel like oftentimes, you could do 9 out of 10 things right, and sometimes that one thing that you get wrong or you miss the mark, it can trip you up. So that would be an example of failure. I feel like as of late, it's been something that I've struggled with, but personally, as of late, I've been asking myself, instead of like, why does, why does this seem so difficult? Like, I'm starting to ask myself, like, I mean, why not? Like, what if it could happen?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I feel like instead of using what ifs in a negative way, but using it in a positive way, like, like, what if I can get this opportunity? What if I can get this job? What if this partnership, for example, leads to like something in the future? I feel like me kind of transitioning like my mindset out of like negativity, but into like, optimism, like, it's giving me the opportunity to, shoot my shot. Eventually something's gonna, hit or stick.
Yeah.
Even if you do like miss what you thought was gonna be good for you, I feel like sometimes you end up in a place that's, is right for you, even though it may not be as flashy, So that's what's helped me.
Just talking about that takes me back to Cass's speech last year at the award center, where she started off with, "Why me?" Why did they choose me to speak? But she ended her speech with, "Why not me?" So I feel like that's the same mindset that you had just now. Definitely a good mindset to have. Going into these rooms, just why not me? Even if I'm not as talented as everyone else, I still belong here. All my ideas are good, are valuable.
Yeah,
they are worth bringing to the table. So really, just walking around with that attitude.
Like, there's a reason. Like, I feel like as of late, I realized there's a reason why I'm here. Like, if I really wasn't that person, then I probably wouldn't be in the position where I was. Like,
Right.
I mean, I say that not in a cocky way, but more so as like, listen, there's potential there. You have the talent. You have the potential. I feel like everyone has the potential to do something great. It's just a matter of daring to believe in yourself and surrounding yourself with people who like, they see your talent, but instead of holding you back, they want you to build off of that. Surrounding yourself with selfless people, and even you yourself being selfless. I feel like oftentimes we compare ourselves to other people, and then when you really take the moment to sit down and think about it logically and practically, it just doesn't make sense, nor does it serve you. So it's like sometimes you're just holding yourself back instead of just, asking like, or like telling yourself like, oh, I don't deserve this. It's just like, listen, I'm here. Let me make the most out of it. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. It's not a wasted experience. At least, there's some sort of character development, even though character development has a negative connotation. But just in general, I feel like development is a good thing.
Got you. And going off of that, making the most out of everything, what would you say you would like to be remembered for?
I feel like I would like to be remembered, by my heart. I feel like in general, I'm a person who's full of care, and like, I'm thoughtful and I think of others. I feel like when people like, even like, for example, like when people like are like first introduced to me, or like even like they kind of like debrief when they first met me, they're like, oh, you were so nice. You took the time out of your day to like, put your attention towards me. Like, he wasn't distracted. He wasn't just asking random stuff just to like ask. I was inquisitive. I was observant. I noticed certain things, and I just check in on people. I feel like I don't know. I feel like it's something like rewarding just asking somebody about how their day's going, like kind of getting like a life update, not in an intrusive way, but just showing that you care and that listen, what you're doing matters, even if you might feel like, dang, like today's not it. But at least there was that one person who was like, took their time out of the day to say hello, or like, give them encouragement. I feel like the more thoughtful you are, I feel like sometimes it could even provide healing for yourself, even if you're going through a tough time, talking to people, showing them that you care. At the end of the day, positivity has to come back,
Right.
You put it out there.
That's definitely a point that I wanted to bring up. Just talking about it not always being for the other person. It could also pull you out of whatever mood you're in as well. Take you out of your thoughts, take you outside of your bubble. It's a distraction, but it's also a way to build better relationships.
Yeah.
Have those better conversations, and like you said, just check in on people. It's very important to check in on people. I feel like as college students, we often get distracted and too caught up in our own work that we don't really take the time to check on our loved ones.
Yeah.
And that was definitely something that I struggled with, especially my first 2 years. I know my first year I went home a few times and I just stopped going home.
Yeah.
So, how do you think you can increase your value?
Increase my value. I think there's a saying where it's, before you, like, it involves the airplane, like, you got to secure your oxygen mask before, you try to
Before
help
you can help
others.
the next one.
So I feel like for me, the only way I can improve or, like, add value to myself is taking care of myself. I'm the type of person, I feel like, in general, I'm selfless and, I try to help other people. But, I mean, at the end of the day, if you're not taking care of yourself, there's only so much you can do. Despite, you could have the biggest heart. You could have, as much love as possible, like, 1,000 people combined. But if you're not taking care of yourself, everyone has that end of the rope. And once you reach there, it's a bit tough. So I feel like, for me, as of late, I learned that, unplugging sometimes, you got to, unplug. And sometimes if you feel like you just want to isolate and be by yourself, sometimes you got to plug yourself back in. It's just a matter of self-awareness and really knowing yourself and knowing, like, your areas of weakness. I feel like self-care is one of my biggest ones. Sometimes you just got to put yourself first and even just do, like, some random stuff that doesn't even make sense, but it just, it takes your mind off of things and kind of helps you, maintain your peace. Definitely protecting your peace is one of the things that, as of late, I've definitely learned, like, listen, like, if you're like, humans, they're not supposed to be, walking with this constant burden of just, like, heaviness around them. If you got to separate yourself, you got to separate yourself. If you got to plug in, you got to plug in. It's just that simple.
Gotcha. You talk about self-care being important to you. For the people who struggle with self-care, just tell us what that looks like for you. Tell us about that gym routine.
Listen, I think, working out is good. Even, like, I feel like, honestly, for me, I prefer walking.
Okay.
Like, I mean, obviously, if you just throw the weight around it, it can be rewarding and stuff. But I feel like taking the opportunity to just, sit in your thoughts and just, like, walking on your own time, all the distractions, removed from you, it really forces you to really, put things into perspective. Even besides that, I feel like
I started walking and doing audiobooks.
Yeah, walking and audiobooks. Even just, like, writing. Sometimes you can just write about your day and it helps. Like, I did that a lot in the summer when I was interning in New York, and I felt like that definitely helped me, like, process a lot of stuff. I feel like I got too caught up in the school year and I left that behind but that's something I'm trying to bring back. And I feel like, honestly, talking to other people about, your feelings is also, like, a form of self-care, even though sometimes people might, it might be like, oh, it's a tea session, all that, all that nonsense. But, like, sometimes you really need to take the opportunity to really, like, talk and be like, listen, I'm kind of feeling down right now. Like, do you guys have any tips to help me? So
I don't be trying to be labeled one of the girlies, as they say. I just be trying to get my thoughts out. Like,
yeah. Listen, bro, it's tough, though, because sometimes I feel like, even, like, as, like, to add another layer, especially as men, I feel like oftentimes our feelings aren't taken as seriously. Not only amongst girls, but also in the, like, men as a whole.
Right.
I feel like sometimes you got to be surrounded by people who actually take that seriously when you're just like, bro, I'm not doing okay. Like, I need to talk about something, or I'm not really, feeling like myself. So it's definitely hard. And I feel like the one thing I do like about, this, society, it's improving. Like, people is encouraging more dialogue and discourse about mental health, especially amongst men. Listen, like, even in general, like, men live shorter than women. Once you add, race, even being a Caribbean especially, bro, 30% off, of your life. So all of them got high blood pressure, especially in my family. So I know, like, there's only so much you can do. There's only how much hard you can work. And, I feel like the more you talk about your feelings, work through that mentally, it's going to have effect on you physically. So absolutely.
Final question here for you, Sebi. What does affluence mean to you?
Affluence, I think, is how much value you can add to others. It's, like, related to the, the relationships. Even, for example, like, if you look at it, like, from, like, monetary terms, like, when you look at those entrepreneurs on Instagram or whatever, the one thing they constantly emphasize is network. But I think at the heart of it, it is relationships, especially if you're doing business with people who, have a good heart and who, are excited to share opportunities amongst, like, their, the brother or sisters in arms, in like the business world. I feel like affluence to me is being a light, touching those around you, getting the most out of them. Because I feel like there's nothing more rewarding than seeing potential in someone and bringing that out, or just adding value to them, and then now once they reach that point, they're definitely gonna pour that, and it's gonna have a trickle down effect and a compounding effect. And sometimes people they try to it's easier to like people who are already like established and try to like connect with them, but I feel like it all starts like whether it be the playground or even in the campus dorms, like just building those relationships, putting your boys onto something, even if you have to like remove them from certain situations, giving them advice that actually is gonna help them in the future. I feel like there's nothing more rewarding than that. So I think that's where my heart lies at the relationship.
Got you. I appreciate you.
Yes,
I
yes.
definitely want to show you a few designs after this. Just get your feedback on that.
Oh
But
yes, sir.
you talk about you always wear black and brown. That's definitely one of the challenges of the brand.
Mhm.
You see me, I wear a lot of black and red. So
Mhm.
just trying to design stuff that's not black all the time is really a challenge. But
Yeah.
I feel like we're getting somewhere.
Even with the cream, yeah, I don't like cream in general, but like for the
I was scared to get it dirty.
yeah, you listen. You gotta be like, ooh, even if it's raining, oh, can I wear it? It's like colors like that. So I mean, at least with black, listen, it can be like a snowstorm and you still go outside in black.
Before we get out of here, any last words for the viewers? Any words of inspiration?
Treat others the way you want to be treated. The world will be better. Simple.
You heard it first from Sebi Michel. Sebi, I appreciate you for taking the time today.
Thank you for having me.